So today I'm going to give you a training guide on this new Pires card and then let you know based on these Player of the Week cards if the pack is worth spinning. So if we take a look at Pires is a player that I have a previous version of, his normal legend card, and he's one of those players that actually plays above his stats. So he's actually really good in the game. So I have a couple builds here for you. This build is a more dribbling build. If we take off the boost, you can see we're getting the tight possession to 85 and the acceleration, speed and balance all high. If we take off the booster for a sec, you can see they're all above 85, and then the booster is to agility, so it's giving them speed, acceleration, balance and stamina. So yeah, this is a really good dribbling build if you're more focused on his dribbling ability. His finishing's a bit low and his passing is a bit low. Unfortunately, we can't get the passing to 85 if we want to keep his dribbling high. But he is a creative playmaker. He can only play on the left wing. You can play right mid if you get a position trainer there. So because he's a creative playmaker, I talked about this in my training videos. Creative playmakers can be good as pure wingers or as kind of wide playmakers. So if you want to make him more of a wide playmaker, his passing isn't actually terrible, so you can change the build around. So if you take off one dribbling there, and if you took off, you would have to make a choice between keeping the speed above 85, and then you'd be able to get the passing up to 85, and then you have 2 points left that can go back into speed. So this one has higher passing. 88 low pass is the limit. I talk about this in my how to train midfielders video. So that's more if he's a playmaker. Instead of taking off the speed though, you can take off the dexterity, get the speed back to 90, and then the passing will be 88. And then that last point, you can't really do anything with it. You're going to have to put it into aerial strength probably. So you've got three builds there. One is a dribbling build and one is a kind of playmaking build. You could do a shooting build, I guess, get it to 85 finishing, but it's going to cost you 10 points. And I do think that's not really going to be kind of value for your progression points. Although it doesn't look terrible. Like, honestly, it doesn't look terrible. I do think the dribbler or playmaker builds would be more effective. Now, if we go into the game and look at the skills that this Pires card starts with, I know the legend card starts off with some good skills, so it's kind of a similar situation here. He has got a lot of the meta skills. He's already got double touch, he's already got first time shot, one touch pass, true pass, weighted pass, pinpoint cross, and yeah, like he's got very good skills. So the skills I'd recommend putting on him are soul control and flip flap, get that level 3 double touch. And then if you're going to use him as a finisher, definitely put acrobatic finishing on him. Even if you're going to use him as a winger or a playmaker, I still think acrobatic finishing would be good. So there's 3 skills right there. Then you'd want to put a cut behind and turn or a Marseille turn. Honestly, you could go for both in this guy. I usually don't recommend both, but I could see both working because I do think he is best as a left mid, not a left wing. And I do think particularly cut behind and turn is a better skill deeper in the pitch because you can do a cut behind and turn and then switch the ball to the other flank. And then Marseille turn would actually help him more as a left wing if you want to play him in the box and you're trying to get by your opponent and cut inside for a finesse shot that way. So yeah, he does look pretty good. Any other skills? Probably just a fighting spirit or a super sub, depending on if you're starting him or off the bench. He could do a scissors feint. He's quite tall. I think scissors feint works better on tall players. Luckily, he's already got long range curler and long range shooting. And then the skills I recommended at the start: soul control and flip flap. The soul control will help with the long range curler for the knock on finesse. But yeah, a very interesting card. He's got good stats in the right areas, not like majorly impressive stats, but he has got the kind of the framework of a decent player. He's got the good skills. So I do think he's good. His main problem is his positions. He can only play left mid and left wing fully proficient, but with position trainers, obviously you can get him on the right too. So yeah, that'll be the training guide for Pires. Now I'm going to look at the other players in the pack and let you know if I think it'd be worth spinning for. So Bernardo Silva is good. He's a box-to-box. He's a great dribbler in this game. I have his phenomenal pass version, but unfortunately this one doesn't have track back or interception. So even with the decent defending stats, I do think if he had one of those, like both of those skills would be necessary probably, but you could probably get away with just one of them, particularly if you got interception. But without those skills, I don't think he's great. And without double touch for his attacking ability, yeah, I do think that card is missing a lot. Andy Robertson is actually a player you don't really see very often in eFootball, is he? I'm sure he's a fine left back. I don't think there's anything majorly impressive or majorly wrong with his stats. The problem for him is he's a fullback finisher, which is a playstyle I don't really like using, because they dribble into the middle and he doesn't even have finishing for a fullback finisher. He can play left mid though. He would be a good defensive-minded kind of winger if you play a 3-5-2. I usually recommend one attacking-minded winger and one defensive-minded one. And he has got the good defensive stats and one-touch pass, which is important for my midfielders and defenders. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't have track back. So yeah, I think he's also another player that it's just you wouldn't really use him. Now, a player that I know that is really good in this game is Kulusevski. This guy's very good. He's got the very high weak foot. You can play attacking midfielder, so you can make use of that a lot. Also, if you play him out wide, you can use that. You can go outside and hit a cross. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't have pinpoint crossing, but the very high weak foot, it won't it's not that when you use a Roman flank like this, someone who cuts inside and shoots, the crossing isn't meant to be like very effective. It's more just to kind of warn your opponent that you are willing to go outside and cross. Yeah, I've used this actual card a lot. I got him when he came out, and he's very good. He's got his own like animations for finesse shots, kind of like Dybala or Kubo. So he's a very good player, good skills. I do think this guy is a very underrated guy, and he makes this pack, you know, he pushes it in the direction of this pack might be a value for money. Ollie Watkins, goal poacher. I don't know, he doesn't look anything interesting. He has got high finishing though, to be fair. But he doesn't have acrobatic finishing, unfortunately. He does have first time shot. He has gamesmanship, which in theory should be good, but I don't think the referees give the fouls in the boxes anymore like they used to. But yeah, he's not like I don't think he's a great player either. Pedro Porro, he's not too bad either. He's kind of like what I was saying with Robertson, playing him left mid, but you'd play him on the right. He doesn't look terrible, but again, he doesn't have track back. It's not a necessity. Track back for the wide mids, especially if you just put deep line on them, they'll get back into position. Like, it really isn't a necessity. It's just kind of the icing on the cake that I'm looking for. But yeah, he didn't look terrible. Like, he got good pace, but nothing spectacular. His defensive stats are quite low, and his attacking stats aren't amazing. So I think if you're like new to the game, yeah, you might use him right back or wide mid. But I think if you've been playing the game for a little bit, you shouldn't be too impressed by that. Pedro Porro. Oyarzabal, he has very high weak foot, but he doesn't have the double touch. So you can't that high weak foot is harder to make use of, and his finishing isn't high either. Now his dribbling stats, his dribbling and tight possession are above 85. But yeah, he's just not good enough, unfortunately. If he had 85 acceleration, I think maybe it becomes a case of, okay, this guy might be usable, but without the a high acceleration coupled with those kind of mid-tier technical attacking stats, he's not that impressive. He has got super sub though, so I guess if you need more kind of depth on your bench, he could be useful in that regard. Now, this is a player that I've used this specific version, this Rodrigo deep line forward. He is very good in this game. Look at his stats. He's kind of like Romario, although I guess he is a deep line forward, so he's a bit different there in the playstyle, but I would actually rather a deep line forward than a fox in the box. So I'm not saying this guy is better than Romario, he definitely isn't. But if you're free to play, you can get the 700 coins. There's actually giving out a lot of coins at the moment. You can definitely get the 700 coins, and if you want a player like Romario and you don't have Rodrigo's other player of the week cards, this guy is very good. So he probably even could be better than Pires. He probably is better than Pires. But this guy, I was working on a video talking about this card. I had to cancel it because I was too busy with college. But yeah, he's very good. He's got double touch, flip flap, and soul control. Acrobatic finishing, first time shot, one touch pass, true pass. He's got pretty much everything you would need. He's missing a cup of Highland turn or a Marseille turn, but that's a very small issue. It's not a big issue. And then he has got super sub as well, so definitely a very good card. Pau Torres, he is actually a okay player, but he doesn't have low lofted pass or one touch pass, which I think is more important for a ball playing centre back like he is, rather than weighted pass. So it is a shame he doesn't have either of them. I'd rather trade weighted pass for low lofted or one touch. But he has got decent passing stats, great defensive, well, good defensive stats. If that aggression was 85, it'd be great. But 84, it's okay. He is 192 centimeters tall. I think he's a good centre back, nothing spectacular. You probably have a better version, but again, if you're new to the game, these kind of the players like Pau Torres, Kulusevski, definitely, even Bernardo, while I think he is missing the interception, you could use him attacking midfielder or right midfielder and it'd be good. So like, I think this pack is more for new players, but Rodrigo would be the only player of the week so far that would go into most people's team, pretty much everyone's team if they don't have Romario or a different Rodrigo. Kulusevski would go into most people's teams, but the rest are just kind of for new players. Bremer is actually a good centre back though. He's probably another player that would go into a lot of people's teams. Unfortunately, he doesn't have blocker, but I don't think blocker's a necessity. I think you can just move the player in the way. Obviously, blocker is a big help, particularly for your centre backs. Like, I do think if you had to put blocker on a position, it would be centre back. But I do think he is a good player regardless. So he would be kind of similar level to Kulusevski, I think. And then the last player in the pack is Martinez, who is very good. He's got every stat when you go into game and you have an 8 proficiency manager. Every goalkeeping stat will be above 90, except for the parrying, which will concede you goals at times. But I do think it's probably, I'd say catching is the least important, and then parrying after that. And then the reflexes, reach, and awareness are just a lot more important than the parrying and catching. So he should be a very good keeper. He's 195 centimeters as well, so he's quite tall. Does he have low punt? He does have low punt. So yeah, he's got low punt, long throw, and penalty saver. So he's got the 3 kind of goalkeeping skills as well. So yeah, I think this pack is actually quite interesting. I do think if you're an Arsenal fan, definitely go for it to get Pires. If you're new to the game, it might be a good use of your coins. I do think the England pack would probably be better value. But if you, I don't know, Rodrigo is very good in this game. Like, he's a top tier striker. I have his Champions League version. He was probably better because I think that one's a goal poacher. This one's a deep line forward, which I actually probably would prefer. In general, I know most people would prefer a goal poacher though. So a good pack. Would I recommend spending your coins on it? I'm actually not. I don't know. It is a tough one to say. I feel kind of bad not giving you as a decisive or conclusive answer, but you can see I've got 785 coins on the free to play account here. I probably will go from just to try out Pires and maybe give a review, and then after I've used them, I can give a definitive answer if it's worth spinning for or not.